What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dan Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is
your boy, Jake Mother Effing Bulls on the mic. 1, 2.
And
what's poppin'?
What's poppin', guys? We hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Got to spend some time with the family. Eat some delicious food. I know I did. I'm sure Jake did.
Yes, lots of food. 3 servings.
3 servings worth. Did you have pie?
Oh yes, I had pie. I had, everything.
Turkey, stuffing, gravy, potatoes.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good Thanksgiving, to say the least. And the thing that made it better was all 3 games were
exciting.
Excellent. They were all excellent games.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I enjoyed every single one of the Thursday night games or Thursday day games.
Yeah, it was. It just made Thanksgiving that much sweeter.
Oh, absolutely. And guys, we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be covering week 12 of the NFL 2022 season. We're going to give our thoughts and reactions, kind of recap each game. If you guys aren't already, go ahead, give us a follow on our Instagram. It's our main social media platform, Cannonballs __ podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Jake, you ready to get into this?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
All right. So the first game, the early morning game on Thanksgiving, we had the Buffalo Bills playing the Detroit Lions in Detroit. And this ended up being a excellent game. This was actually one of my favorite games of the entire week. Buffalo squeaks it by with a field goal at the end, 28-25 finish. This game was close. Both offenses were driving. Both defenses made some big plays. I think the Lions, they're going to play tough regardless. And I think that, they had a 3-game winning streak. They could have had a 4-game winning streak. They could have beaten the Buffalo Bills. They were driving. Amon-Ra St. Brown looked great. Jared Goff had a good game. Jamal Williams had a good game. They just came short. The Bills pulled it off in the end. Josh Allen had a good game. Singletary had a pretty damn good game. Isaiah McKenzie, I think, was the surprise wide receiver this game, who had 96 yards and a touchdown. But overall, great game. I think the Bills, maybe their defense is being exposed a little bit, but I think they'll be fine. They're 8-3. Keep rolling.
Yeah, I think the Bills are fine. It's a little questionable. This is like 3 or 4 weeks in a row where they've had pretty close games or losses. So makes me question them a little bit. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll make it to the playoffs. But like I said, this was my Super Bowl favorite, and now not so much anymore. I think there's a couple teams better than the Bills right now, but still they got the win. That's all that matters. But I like the Lions, man. It was a good win or a good game for them. They fight. They fight good. I like it.
I agree. Yeah, kind of having a little bit of a doubt about the Bills as well, but, good game overall. Let's move on to the next game. We have the afternoon game on Thursday, Thanksgiving. We had the New York Football Giants traveling to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys. This game was a lot closer in the first half. I think Dallas kind of pulled away in the second half a little bit, and then New York kind of made it a little bit interesting near the end. But Dallas looked good, man. This defense looked really good for the most part. Zeke looked like he had a really good game. Dak Prescott had 2 interceptions. He wasn't too amazing, but he made some big-time throws. CeeDee Lamb had a great game. And then on the Giants, Daniel Jones looked good at times. He looked pretty damn good. But, I think the storyline of this is they couldn't get the rushing attack going. Saquon Barkley only had 39 yards rushing. He did have a touchdown, but Dallas's defense basically shut down this running attack. And if you can't get the ball running with New York, it's going to be hard for them to score because they do have limited wide receivers.
Yeah. I think their defense played pretty good. That's another thing. That's why I'm not super hot on the Giants. If they're more of a rushing kind of team, if they don't get it going, they struggle. As we saw on Thanksgiving. The final score of this game was 28-20, so it was pretty close. Came down to the wire, I'd say. It was another good one, though. I mean, division rivals, both teams have great defenses. So yeah, it was another fun, exciting game. Fuck. Sorry, I feel like Thanksgiving was so long ago, so I'm like kind of blanking on these games. But
No worries.
I just want to. We'll move on to the next one. This next game. So me and Dane both picked the Bills and the Cowboys to win. This next game was the first of our
Dispute.
differences. And I picked the Vikings, and Dan picked the Patriots, and
Yep, I went
Vikings
for the
won this one.
upset. Went for the upset. You know, it was pretty close to being an upset, but you know, Minnesota held on. They ended up winning this game. This game was a lot of fun. You know, the Patriots offense
33-26.
33-26, and you know, New England's offense actually got going pretty well. Mac Jones threw for 382 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Basically all of his receivers had like 60 and above, you know, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar, Ramondre Stevenson, and Devontae Parker all had above 60 yards in the reception game. Ramondre Stevenson couldn't really get it going on the ground, but, you know, passing attack was going. And, you know, on the opposite side of things, Kirk Cousins looked good, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have 1 interception. But, you know, Justin Jefferson, dude, he just continues to make outstanding plays. It shows why he's one of the best receivers in the game. Unfortunately, Dalvin Cook couldn't get going too much in this game, but, you know, didn't really need him when you have Adam Thielen making plays, Justin Jefferson making ridiculous plays, and, you know, the team kind of having your back.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson's amazing. He broke, Randy Moss's 3-year career receiving or whatever record. I don't fucking know. All these records are just random as fuck. But, you know, congratulations to him. Yeah, this is the best the Patriots looked on offense all season, in my opinion, and it was against the Vikings. See, this is another one why I'm like starting to question the Vikings, at least for how far they can go in the playoffs. I think they'll be fine in the regular season. They're gonna get that 1 or 2 seed. I just have a hard time trusting in the playoffs right now. But you know, the Patriots have a good defense. So. And this was a high-scoring game, so, 33-26. It was a great game.
Yeah, I think the biggest storyline for me is Kirk Cousins finally won on a primetime game. You know, that's huge. You know, that's such a stigma that's been attached to him. You know, he's always been doubted when it comes to a primetime game. You know, if it's an afternoon slate, he's okay, but if it's a morning slate, he's great. But, you know, he proved that he can win on primetime. You know, he looked good. He made big-time throws, and, you know, they got the dub. That's all that really matters.
Yeah, good job, Kirk Cousins, finally winning on primetime.
You ready to move on?
Yeah, let's get into the Sunday games. First one I got is another one that we disagreed on. I took the Panthers, and you took the Broncos, and the Panthers beat the Broncos 23-10.
Yep. I can honestly say I will probably never pick the Denver Broncos again. I don't care who they're playing. Their offense, I cannot understand 10 points. Dude, this is just bad at this point. Like, I don't even know. Do you fire the head coach in his first season, like after this year? Nathaniel Hackett, like, I don't know if he knows what he's doing, or
I don't know, man. This one's so hard to figure out because, I mean, you're for sure stuck with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, you paid him a lot of money.
Yeah, and you gave up all those draft picks, so you're stuck with him for, you know, years. Nathaniel Hackett, I don't know how long his contract was, but I mean, I think we talked about last week. You kind of just got to cut ties, I feel, because this is not working, and something needs to change. Because I think you sent it to me. It was the number 1 scoring defense, and then the last place scoring offense, the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I believe so. It might have been someone else, but I might have seen that as well.
Yeah, so yeah, that's got to be some kind of record. I feel like that's really hard to do. But I mean, I don't even know what to say, honestly. I mean, the Panthers the Broncos made Sam Darnold look like, you know, a good quarterback. I mean, Deontay Foreman had 113 yards rushing, and the strength of this defense was the
defensive
defense.
line. Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't know what to say about the Broncos.
Yeah, DJ Moore had a huge game, 103 yards. He had the touchdown. That was a nice pass by Sam Darnold in the back of the end zone. Russell Wilson, 142-1. Latavius Murray looked pretty good. I'll give him that. Cortland Sutton, 75 yards. But other than that, this team just continues to disappoint, man. I have no confidence in them. They're 3-8, so they're pretty much out of playoff contention, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's any way that they're going to make playoffs with the rest of the AFC getting already in the 7-8 win range. But, I don't have too much more to say. This was just a bad game for Denver. They're just a bad team this year.
Yeah, I think the season's over. I mean, they could still play upset, obviously, but in the stacked AFC,
the best they could do is if they won out, they could go 9-8.
Yeah,
and I don't think you're making playoffs with that record, to be honest.
I don't either, and I don't see them winning out.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's move on to the next game. We have I think this is another game that we differed on. Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. And I believe I took Tampa Bay, you took the Browns, right?
Yes, sir.
You are perfect on the week so far, right?
Yep. I've predicted all these games. This was a good game, man.
Yeah, this was a good game. Went down to OT.
The Browns, man, they just they play teams really good sometimes, and then they have really bad weeks. This one went to overtime, like Dane said. It was just a really good game, and unfortunately for fortunately and unfortunately, the Bucks are still in first place, and but they lost another one. So
it's anyone's division at this point for the NFC South. But go ahead.
The Saints are still in it. The Panthers are even still in it.
Yep.
They're only one game behind.
Yep. That's crazy.
It's very crazy. We're looking at the Panthers like the last place team, but they could potentially get into playoffs with a losing record.
This reminds me of the NFC East a couple years ago when I think the top team made it in with 7 wins, 6 or 7 wins. But, Tom Brady looked decent, 246 and 2. Rashad White looked pretty decent on the ground. Chris Godwin looked good. But, couldn't get much going after that. Brady got sacked a lot. Cleveland's defense stepped up, I think, in this game. And, offensively, Jacoby Brissett looked pretty decent, man. And Nick Chubb, decides to end the game. He calls game when he wants it. Nick Chubb's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Amari Cooper continued to have another good game. So, Cleveland had a pretty decent game overall, man. Pretty impressive. And it's just a game before they get back Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. I still don't think the Browns are going to do anything this year, but it's a good test for them for next year. It's kind of like a giant preseason for Deshaun Watson at this point. Where the hell are Mike Evans and Kareem Hunt? They just disappeared this year. Well, Mike Evans had a couple good games, but these last 3 weeks, he's just disappeared.
I just think it's Tampa Bay's offense in general hasn't been too effective this year. And I don't know about Kareem Hunt. You figured that he would be utilized a lot more in this offense like he was the previous years. But, they kind of strayed away. They just kind of give the ball to Nick Chubb. That's what they like to do. Nick Chubb has basically become their bread and butter, not the 1-2 punch. It's basically the 1.5 punch. So I don't know. But, it was a good win for the Browns. I don't have too much else to say. Do you?
No, let's move on.
I think this is the only upset that I picked right.
Yep, you did. And I like this one. I probably should have went with the Jags also. I just like the way they've been playing these last couple weeks, and they had a really, really, really good win. They beat the Ravens 28-27. And, I'll let you take this one since you picked this one, correct?
Yeah, so I did go for a decent amount of upsets this week. This was one of them, and this is, I think, the only one that I guessed correct. But, the Jags played tough. With the way that Baltimore's offense has been struggling, I kind of figured the Jags defense would step up, and they did in a certain light. But, Baltimore also scored 27 points, don't get me wrong, and 15 of those were in the fourth quarter. But, you know, Trevor Lawrence had a good game. Unfortunately, Travis Etienne did go down, so JaMychal Hasty stepped up a little bit. But, you know, Zay Jones, 145 yards, man. He got things going through the air. Trevor Lawrence, 321 and 3, 0 interceptions. Great game for him. You know, Trevor Lawrence just played a really stout game. And Lamar Jackson looked good on the ground, but still kind of has those throws that you kind of wish that he would, you know, not sail as much. He kind of was off target a couple times. But, you know, the highest receiver for Jackson or for Baltimore was Josh Oliver, and I did not see that one coming. Mark Andrews only had 50 yards.
I've never even heard of Josh Oliver before today. Or before
I don't think I have either, to be honest. But, you know, it's surprising. You know, you were right. Like, I didn't think that the offense would be this much of a question mark at this point of the year, but it kind of is at this point. You know, Baltimore's offense, they did get 27 points. Don't get me wrong, but there are question marks that I have about receiver depth. And if Lamar's not able to get it going with the rushing attack, what happens to this offense? It feels pretty one-dimensional at this point. You know, the rushing attack is good. Don't get me wrong, but, you know, I think it was just a good game by the Jags.
I'd say the rushing attack with Lamar is good. I mean, everybody else, I mean, like, they'll have the, you know, occasional good game by the whole running back committee, but, I mean, I don't think they have a clear-cut starter on that team. They're kind of just, like, cycling through whoever they can put in. I mean, it goes through Lamar. That offense goes through Lamar, obviously. But, yeah, man, they just have not been playing good. And good for the Jags, man. They I think it was like the last minute, and they came back and won. It was a close game the entire game.
Yeah, this has become a storyline of the Baltimore Ravens this year. They've kind of given up leads late in the fourth, and I think they've lost 4 games this year late in the fourth quarter, unfortunately.
Well, good win for the Jags. Let's move on. I'm not going to have too much to say on this one, but the Miami Dolphins, you know, handed the Texans another loss. They beat them 30-15, and I mean, there's not really much else to say, but this is a good team, a lot of weapons. They're clicking. I think they're on a 4 or 5 game win streak.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their win streak is, but, you know, they got up 30-0 at half and then kind of just sat some players, and then the Texans scored a couple points in the second half. But, you know, they had a defensive scoop and score, basically a fumble recovery taken to the house. Tua had a touchdown. Jeff Wilson had a touchdown. The Texans actually did pretty decent against stopping the run. I mean, Jeff Wilson only rushed for 39 yards, but, you know, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they both had 85 yards, so they kind of just stepped up when they needed to. And the Texans they're not a good team. They're 1-9. So
they fooled me a little bit at the beginning of the season. And I was like, oh, they're playing hard. Maybe they have some pieces or some players, but it's a long season. And the rushing game has not looked good the last couple weeks. I think Pierce ran for what? 8 yards? 8 yards.
Something like that.
5 for 8. That's wow. That's not good. I think I don't know if we mentioned it, but they did bench what's his name?
Davis Mills.
Yeah, Davis Mills, and they
Trevor Siemian came in, right?
Kyle Allen.
I thought Trevor Siemian was the one who played today.
That's for the Bears.
Oh, that was the Bears.
Yeah,
You're right.
So Kyle Allen came in, threw 2 interceptions, but yeah. Looking forward to that first overall pick. Let's move on. This game. Well, okay, so we both predicted Miami. I think we had a contingency on this one. I think I said the Bears unless Justin Fields isn't starting. And because I didn't know if the Jets were gonna sit or start Zach Wilson. But congratulations, they made the smart move and started Mike White.
And he went off.
Yes, he did.
Mike White went off 315 and 3, dude. 0 interceptions. He looked good. And guess what? It made the receivers look good. Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin, they all looked good.
Yep. Yeah, no, good for Mike White. The Jets won 31-10. I don't want to take too much away from Mike White, but this is a bad Bears defense. So, I mean,
I
think we need to.
Someone would have struggled.
Oh no! I guarantee you he would have. I don't. I'm done believing in Zach Wilson. I'm over it. But I mean, I think I want to like just give it another week. Yeah, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see what happens because they're playing the Vikings next week. So that's going to be a good test for them. But
I agree.
Hold on one second, Dane.
I'm going to talk just for a little bit while Jake has something to take care of. I mean, the Jets are 7-4, so they are a really good team thus far. Their defense is looking really stout. They're stopping everyone. So I like the Jets defense. I think they're going to keep it going. Robert Saleh is coaching them really well. Sauce Gardner looks great. And, this offense looks better with Mike White. He looked competent. Like Jake said, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see how they do against better defensive competition. But I like what I'm seeing from New York right now. I think that they're going to be a playoff team if they keep playing this way.
Yeah. I will say, unfortunately for the Bears, Darnell Mooney had a
probably out for this
injury.
season. Oh, he is?
Yes.
Is it like guaranteed?
Yeah, I got the update. So that's unfortunate for the Bears. Justin Fields is hurt. Yep. Honestly, I feel like, do you put Justin Fields in or do you just, the season's pretty much over.
It's hard to say. It depends on the status of his injury. Like if it's, questionable and you're kind of risking it, I say don't do it at this point. Kind of just give him the time that he needs to be completely healthy. But if he is completely healthy, I say put him out there because the most experience you can get for your possible franchise quarterback, the better.
True. Well, yeah, it was a good game for the Jets. And congratulations for them making the smart move. This next game, we both got wrong, unfortunately. But the Bengals got a win against Tennessee, 20-16. And the Bengals are right in there in the playoff race, man. I
believe they're the 7th seed right now.
Yeah, they look good. I mean, they're going to get Jamar Chase. Probably. I mean, they almost got him this week, I think. But they're going to get him next week, I think. No, this is a good win. This was a good Titans team. So good statement win for the Bengals, I would say.
Yeah, T. Higgins went off this game, 114-1 on 9 targets. Samaje P. Ryan actually looked really good running the ball. I think that he stepped up, didn't have too many stats to back it up, but he looked good when he ran the ball. He looked like he was physical, looked like he could get some extra yards. But, Joe Burrow stepped up when he needed to. Only threw for 1 touchdown, but, did stuff with his legs, got things going on the ground. And unfortunately, the Titans, the Bengals really held Derrick Henry. The Titans couldn't really rush in this game, so it kind of made it difficult for Ryan Tannehill. I mean, Derrick Henry almost caught a screen pass and ran it for a 79-yard touchdown, but fumbled on the one. And then Treylon Burks decides to scoop and score it and get points for me on my bench. So it looks like Treylon Burks could be fantasy relevant from now on because he's had like 3 games in a row of relevancy. So, I think the Titans are going to be fine. I still like this defense. The defense kind of screwed them at the end of this game. They held Cincinnati to a field goal and then kind of blew it on the kick and gave the Bengals a first down. So the Bengals could just knee it right there at the end. I think if the Bengals couldn't just knee it and they kicked the field goal, the Titans still had to drive down the entire field, but I think they would have had a chance. So could have assumed that the Titans could have tied it, but, we can't assume too much.
Yeah. Well, this was a good win for the Bengals. I think both teams played decent. I think the Titans will be fine. I think they're just going to be, it's going to be a closer playoff race for the AFC now. Ready to move on?
Let's do it.
All right, next game, we got the Washington Commanders beating the Atlanta Falcons 19-13. And
Commanders are hot, man.
Yeah. I think this is 3 or 4 in a row now.
I think it might be more than that. I don't have my phone, but
I think
keep talking.
I was looking at it earlier, but it was like the biggest win streak is 5, I believe, and it's held by the Chiefs. What was I saying? Oh, Brian Robinson had a good game. 105 yards rushing. Didn't get the touchdown, but he did get a receiving touchdown though. So good for the Commanders. Falcons, man. I don't know what to say about the Falcons. I mean, they kind of are who we.
Bad interception at the end that just screwed them over. They could have won that game.
Yeah. This team is just interesting. They have a shot.
You don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and I like them sometimes, but they got a lot to improve, and I think they just need better quarterback play. But I really don't have too much. You take this away.
I was just going to say, Mariota really hasn't looked great recently, but the defense still makes plays sometimes. Taylor Heineke didn't look great at all by any means this game. 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But like you said, Brian Robinson was the story of this game. He had a good hit stick for a rushing touchdown. Terry McLaurin couldn't do anything. Curtis Samuel completely disappeared. Jahan Dotson, I don't even know where he was. But the Commanders got it done. They won 3 in a row. You were correct about 3 or 4. So they won 3 in a row. They lost to the Minnesota Vikings, and then they won 3 in a row prior to that. So they're 6 of their last 7. So they're looking good. Commanders defense, man, they're making plays. They're looking good. So I think that they're going to be hot moving forward, continuing their streak.
Right on. This next game, this was one of the best games of the weekend, in my opinion. We got the Chargers beating the Arizona Cardinals. Squeaking by. At times the Chargers look bad. At times they look good. And then the same thing with the Cardinals. Honestly, I think the Cardinals probably should have won this game.
I agree. I think the Cardinals absolutely should have won this game.
Yeah, and the Chargers came down and drove, and I think it was time expiring. Justin Herbert, who did he throw?
I think there was 15. There were 15 seconds left, but Justin Herbert rolled out to his right, threw a little dump off to Austin Eckler, who got it into the end zone, dove for the pylon, and then went to Gerald Everett for the 2-point conversion, which was actually a pretty decent play call on Lombardi's part. I'll give him credit for that. But the one thing that I want to take away from this game is the Chargers I don't know what it is, man. They won this game, but I don't feel good about the win by any means. They squeaked by. They looked abysmal in the first half, or in the first quarter, excuse me. They scored 0 points in the first quarter. They had 3 and outs in a row, punt. Arizona didn't even punt the frickin' ball till the second half. And Arizona was averaging 9 yards a play, and the Chargers were only averaging 1 at time. And it was just I don't know what happened, but God, dude, this run defense is so bad. This defense had a couple lucky plays. They got gifted possession of the ball by Bandy after Joshua Palmer fumbled this ball. The only player that I think played good for the most part is Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler. Other than that, the offense didn't look great. Palmer was all right. I don't know, man. I just have no confidence in this team. They're 6-5, but it feels like they should be 3-7 at this point, or 3-8.
Yeah, no, they're definitely squeaking by with some of their wins. I feel you on the confidence kind of thing. I mean, good thing. What was I gonna say? Keenan Allen is back. He looks as good as ever. Maybe he just really needed that time off. He looks great though on the field. So, knock on wood, he stays healthy. And then Mike Williams can actually come in and they can have their entire receiving core. I feel you, man. It's not really a win's a win, but not much to hang your hat on.
No, exactly.
I mean, it's a good win though. In the last minute of the game, which is always awesome, but just a lot of mistakes, like you said, and the defense scares me because it's
the defense
non-existent.
That's the hardest thing for me is how did the Chargers hire a great defensive mind who had the number 1 defense when he was the defensive coordinator of the Rams, but has like the 30th ranked defense against the run, 32nd in points per or yards per play, and then like 29th overall defense. It does not make sense to me. I know that we're dealing with injuries, but something's got to change. I don't know if it's Ronaldo Hill having too much power and he's just not preparing the players, if it's the scheme, I don't know. But yeah, this team's not going to do anything if they make it to playoffs unless they're completely healthy. If they get Joey Bosa back and they get Rashawn Slater back, maybe I'll change my opinion a little bit. Maybe they'll look a little bit more stout. But as of right now, I got too many question marks about this team.
Yeah. Well, good job for the Chargers because it made my dreams come true of everybody losing besides the 49ers in the NFC West. So it was awesome. This next game, holy crap. This was a great game.
This was a shootout.
Dude, we both got this one wrong because we both picked the Seahawks, but the Raiders beat the Seahawks 40-34. And
this was the Raiders offense we've been expecting all year.
Dude, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs ran for over 200 yards in the NFL. That is so hard to do. Getting 100 yards a game in the NFL is impressive. He got 229, and he sealed the deal in overtime with what, like a 75-yard run?
Yep.
And no one could catch him. He is having a career year. He is going to get that back next year
too.
Yeah, he's going to get that back next year, big time.
God dang, like the Raiders look great today. The pass. I think Carr threw an interception like the very beginning. Oh, he threw a couple.
Yeah.
But then after that, like he looked on point.
Yeah,
and
he dialed in for sure.
And having Devontae Adams is just a cheat code, man. That catch he made was just one of the catches he made. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's just ridiculous. And then, like I said, Josh Jacobs just ate. He was just MVP of this game. But I mean, the Seahawks, they look good too. They just lost in overtime.
Geno Smith had 328 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, did have an interception. I think the surprise is the rushing attack couldn't really get going for the Seahawks. They had been really, exploiting defenses with the running game. Kenneth Walker, he still had 2 touchdowns, but only rushed for 26 yards. But DK Metcalf looked great. Tyler Lockett had a couple of big plays. They look good, but I think it's kind of funny because Seattle's defense was poor in the beginning. Throughout like a 5-game period, they looked outstanding, like had the best September month or the best month of October. And now they're kind of reverting back to where they were. Either that or the Raiders are just really good. But I think Seattle's on a 2-game losing streak now.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
They lost to the
Bucks before the bye.
Yep.
But one of the hottest teams. But
thank you, Las Vegas, because they were tied with the 49ers, and now they're 1 game behind. I think they're the 7th seed now. Or no, they're probably out of playoffs now because the Commanders have a better record. So I always love that. Honestly, like not too much to take badly away from the Seahawks. I think the Raiders just played really, really good. And their defense stepped up when they needed to. Max Crosby, he made some key sacks.
Max Crosby's he's just different, man. He's just got a different gear. Like he can hit it in overdrive and just keep going. I don't know what it is. He just does not get tired.
He's an animal. So good for the Raiders. That was a good win to hang your hat on. But I'm ready to move on.
Let's do it.
All right, this next game, not too much.
Not an exciting one.
Not at all. We got the Chiefs beating the Rams 26-10. The Rams were without Stafford, without Cooper Kupp. What's his name? Got hurt. Allen Robinson's out for the season now. What's it?
Yeah.
Bryce Perkins? He looked mobile. He looked,
Threw for 2 interceptions, though. One thing that I will say is if Sean McVay getting hit in the head by his own player on the sideline isn't like just like an overview of how the Rams total. Yeah, dude. One of his players coming off the field hit him in the head with his helmet accidentally and just knocked McVay's like earpiece off and everything. Look it up, man. You'll find it. But if that's not just like an overview of what the Rams season has been like, it's just been a total disaster. I don't know what happened to the Rams. You know, they were supposed to be playoff contenders, possibly Super Bowl contenders again. But, you know, they haven't had the season. They're dealing with injuries as well. But, dude, 29 yards for Van Jefferson and 1 touchdown, 23 yards for Tutu Atwell. I mean, they couldn't get anything going on the ground. They couldn't get anything going through the air. I mean, Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes things, only threw for 1 touchdown with 320 yards. Travis Kelce, 57 yards. Marquez Valdez-Scantling looked good. But, yeah, I mean, they didn't need to do too much to win this game.
No. And Isaiah Pacheco looks pretty good. So, you know,
I like
that
Pacheco.
too. Me too. He runs hard. I like him. So add that to another weapon for the Kansas City Chiefs. But not much else to take away. But yeah, good job, Chiefs, for beating the Rams. Oh, this next game, it was a defensive game. The 49ers shut out the Saints 13-0. The Saints defense, this is exactly what I've been expecting from their defense. Except, you know, the 49ers scored. Actually, they had like 2 red zone stops in the first half, and then Jimmy G at the end of the second quarter threw it was a nice throw, but then what's his name? Honey Badger? Matthew? Tyrann Mathieu?
Tyrann Mathieu,
Yeah. So, you know, Jimmy made a good throw, but then Tyrann Mathieu made an even better play, tipped it, but it tipped into Juwan Jennings' hands, which was hilarious, but I'll take it. You know, and then this is the 4th game in a row where the 49ers have shut out their opponent
in the second half. Yep.
So
this defense is elite. It's definitely back to being the best in the NFL.
Yeah,
I would say Dallas is back to being second. Dallas is still looking good, but they did give up a decent amount of points and yards to the Giants. San Francisco's back on top. This defense is elite by any means. It's San Francisco. They're right back in the thick of things for contending for that Super Bowl, in my opinion. They're 7-4. They're on a hot streak. They've won, 4 in a row now?
Yeah, 4 in a row. 4 in a row.
Yep. So, and that's what we said. As soon as they beat the Rams, this is where their hot streak starts. It's every year. It's whenever they play the Rams and they win, then they go on this hot streak. You know, the offense didn't look amazing by any means, but it didn't really need to. This defense holds tough, and they do enough to win. And they had their big explosive game last game against the Cardinals. So,
yeah,
you know,
I think I'm just going to give credit to the Saints because I still think that's a good defense. I think just the Saints are kind of a bad team. I think they still have a pretty solid defense, though. But 49ers defense, man, they had like 2 fumbles in the end zone, or red zone, sorry. Golly, Talanoa Hufanga, if he doesn't make All-Pro this year, I'm writing a letter to the NFL because he is playing like an all-pro safety. God, man. Nick Bosa, 11.5 sacks. He was offsides, but you know what? I'll take it. I don't care. Man,
Fred Warner, dude. I think he's probably my favorite player in the NFL. Watching Fred Warner play linebacker just makes me feel so proud for the position. I love him.
He's a monster, dude. I remember when he came out of BYU and the 49ers drafted him, and I was like, oh, I already know this guy's going to be good. Like, I knew for some reason he was going to be good. 4th round pick, and he's just a monster, man. He's playing all-pro level. I mean, there's so many people on that defense that are playing at a high level, and it's just helping that team win. They're going to have a good test next week against the Dolphins, but you know, I think they have the tools to beat them. But good win for the 49ers.
Yep.
And
this last game was actually exciting.
Jeez. I didn't think it was going to be this close. Well, I didn't think it was going to be this high scoring.
This high scoring. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the Eagles beat the Packers 40-33, and I mean, the Eagles went out, or they took a 2-score lead, 2 touchdowns, and then the Packers came back, tied it. They was just back and forth, back and forth. A couple of errant throws from Aaron Rodgers. He's not playing like MVP Aaron Rodgers, that we're accustomed to seeing. But they've looked a lot better with the emergence of Christian Watson.
Yeah, agreed.
And Aaron Jones.
The unfortunate thing is, one thing that I want to say though is, I don't know what's going to go on with Aaron Rodgers right now because he's injured in an oblique, possibly could miss some time. But I think what's interesting is Jordan Love came in and threw for almost as many yards as Aaron Rodgers on 6 attempts, or 9 attempts, 6 completions.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a big completion to Christian Watson, which definitely helped,
Yeah.
but still.
I think Christian Watson didn't have a catch until Jordan Love came in. I
think he had 1 or 2 by Aaron Rodgers, but it wasn't until later in the game.
But I mean, yeah, Christian Watson, he's fast. That's why they drafted him. I'm just glad he's healthy, and I'm glad he's on my fantasy team. But no, yeah, good. I mean, do you think this is? I mean, this is like 3 weeks in a row where the Eagles have been kind of exposed, I would say. You worry for them?
I'm happier about their offense because that's the one thing that I was kind of getting a little hesitant about is their second half performances. It kind of seemed like it died down. They played all the way through, and this running attack with Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Jalen Hurts just looked phenomenal. Like they were really getting it going on the ground tonight. They just torched Green Bay on the ground, and I'm not as concerned as I was last week. It is a little surprising that Green Bay scored 33 points on this defense, but I was I did go for another upset. I went for Green Bay here, and I kind of felt that Green Bay. Yeah, Jake did not. Jake had a much better week than me. I kind of played the upsets, had a gut feeling, but it didn't turn out to be very effective. But, Green Bay did have a good week. So maybe my gut feeling was somewhat correct that the teams would perform well against the other teams. They just couldn't pull through. But yeah, I just had a feeling Aaron Rodgers would do well against Philadelphia, and they looked pretty good. I mean, Aaron Rodgers' stats don't show it, but this offense looked pretty damn good for the most part.
The defense played pretty good too, even though they gave up a lot of points. They made key plays to keep them close in this game.
Yeah.
I think I'm worrying for the Eagles because this is 3 good defenses in a row that they've struggled against. Not struggled, but definitely could have lost the game. I think maybe not this game, but the last 2 weeks. And then they showed the rest of their schedule. They have 2 games against the Giants, 1 game against the Cowboys, and then the Commanders. So was that 5?
I believe so, or 4.
Yes, yeah, 4 or 5. But and then they play the Bears. So 4 out of those 5 remaining games, are all against tough defenses. So, I mean, I think the Cowboys take the second one with a healthy Dak, and then the Giants, man, I don't know. I think the Giants could play upset a little bit, beat them one time, give them a little run for their money. So, I mean, it's just going to shake things up. But, I mean, the Eagles still look good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is this stat line. Jalen Hurts rushed for more yards than he threw today. He rushed for 157 and threw for 153.
Golly, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a Lamar Jackson sometimes. Just fucking runs the ball.
Yeah, he's good, man. This is his 3rd year, or is it his 2nd year?
3rd year. Same. He was drafted the same year as Justin Herbert, I believe.
So 3rd year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, no, he's definitely taken a step up in the right direction, and I was kind of worried for him when he was first in the NFL, but him and Tua, both the Alabama boys, they look good this year, and they definitely take a step in the right direction. But good win for the Eagles. This is just going to be Sunday's games because Monday hasn't happened yet. So,
Yep. So we are recording Sunday night. So guys, if you're expecting the Monday night game, that will be released on a later date. That will do it for this week's episode. Guys, thank you again for listening to the Cannonballs podcast. If you guys aren't already, follow us on our Instagram at Cannonballs with the Z_podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Jake, do you have any closing remarks?
No, just thanks for listening. Just thanks for listening. And as always, peace.